You're tuned in to Career Currency with Kareem Perez, a podcast for people who are interested in unlocking their potential and increasing their professional value. Here's your host, Kareem Perez.
Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Career Currency podcast. It's the podcast for people who are interested in unlocking their potential and increasing their professional value. We bring you the best marketers, coaches, brand builders, and influencers in the game who share career advice on how to attract opportunities, make more money, and thrive in the digital economy. I'm your host, Kareem Perez, founder of The Tech Effect, professor, mentor, and marketing and communications specialist. Today's guest is the person who companies call when they're going through transformation or struggling with low retention and engagement. She is an expert in helping leaders own their differences and equip them with actionable strategies to build inclusive and thriving teams. She shares her insights, stories, and proven tools at organizations like Google, Intel, American Express, Samsung, Capital One, and Yale. And armed with an MBA, she also has a TEDx talk under her belt, experience across 87 countries. We're definitely going to talk about travel today. She's delivered inspired and activated leaders across 5 continents. Welcome, Tania Desa.
Thank you so much.
How you
Kareem.
doing?
Hi,
Thanks for coming through.
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm good. Okay, so let's get started.
Okay.
I always like to start with how it started versus how it's going. So just give us a kind of idea of where you started off in your journey and where you're at now.
Sure. I mean, I was born to Indian immigrant entrepreneur parents. And so very early on, I was actually the kid in those old school family videos who had to narrate all the family videos. So it's like at a very young age, there was a pencil or a mic in my hand.
Right. Okay.
And I think that really carried through, Grade 4 was my first public speaking competition, and I joined the debate club. So that's how this passion started young and was nurtured to be a speaker, to be a trainer, to help inspire and activate, and to be a storyteller to others. And so that's kind of carried on throughout my corporate career and in what we do now, which is really, as you said, like empowering leaders to own their awesomeness, but also equip their teams so that everyday people are walking into work and they're feeling seen and heard and valued. And we work across 5 continents and with some incredible leaders and companies, big Fortune 500s. And we really work deeply with them. We get to hear what's keeping them up at night and help them solve challenges.
Interesting. So, and what you said corporate. So, What was that like? What did you do in the corporate space?
Well, I started off as a drug dealer on the streets of Toronto. No, for real. I was a pharmaceutical sales rep.
Yeah.
And it was, fascinating. Sales, I learned so much in sales.
Right.
I think sales is an amazing education because you have very short time to captivate and get somebody's attention, to storytell, to influence them when there's so many different distractions. And so when my distractions was a crowded waiting room and trying to get doctors' attention.
Interesting.
And part of that process is that you face a lot of rejection. It is not easy, right? It's not easy. And so I think you build that muscle of trying something, getting rejected, and overcoming it. And that just, you get faster and it gets better and you become bolder and you take more risks. So I found that I'm really grateful for starting my career in sales in the healthcare industry, which is a fabulous industry, growing and evolving, and learning those life skills. And then I went into some corporate marketing roles. I worked at the World Health Organization, Pfizer, big Fortune 500 companies. And I had to find my voice, find my place, in the role, in the team, in the company. It wasn't always easy. I think I really struggled early in my career.
Okay.
I felt a lot of imposter syndrome, like walking into the big meeting. Where should I sit? Should I even be here? I know that there's so many people who feel that way too, especially early in your career when you're a newbie. That self-doubt bubbles up and it's just like paralyzed me sometimes.
Yeah, I feel like early in the career is part of it, but also at different stages, right? So for example, you become a manager or you become a leader and now you're back in that, is this for me or am I in the right space?
Yeah.
So what shaped your comfort or, discomfort with speaking up and being visible? And when did you finally feel like, okay, now I can do this. I can advocate for myself and speak up in these environments?
Well, exactly what you were saying. I think there's so many times in life where we feel like a newbie, and then coming out of that, we get that comfort level. And I think over time, I learned to embrace the newbie in me. So that meant just to be curious, to give myself permission to ask questions, to not know everything, and be okay with that. And through that process, that gave me the confidence to be more comfortable in my own skin when I walked into work every day, as I progressed in my career, knowing that there'll be a chance to be a newbie and then to master something. So to go from that cycle from newbie to expert, as you said, it happens so many times in life. So I think it's experience, and it was really giving myself permission to not know everything and be okay with it.
Yeah, I think that's a big one, right? It's like you're always trying to look for that validation and show what you can do.
Yes.
But it's always good to be learning and failing and growing, which is also a part of, that newbie feeling. So how does this part of your experience, when you look back in your journey, how does that impact how you coach others and work with others?
Many ways. I think, first of all, that muscle of being in sales, I would have come to realize is that we are all in sales.
100%.
Right? And I think the introverts maybe are saying, oh, no, that feels icky. Or people in tech, no, I'm an engineer, I have a technical background, I'm not in sales. And I'm here to tell you that we are all in sales, because every day we are selling who we are and linking it to why people should care, right? We have to do that. We're always storytelling. We have to own and communicate our narrative. We have to, what's that call to action? So I realized from going through the job description and the role of sales and then moving into marketing and managing people, we are all in sales.
Yeah.
Whether you're convincing someone to go out to lunch with you, whether you are trying to get top talent into your team, whether you're trying to find that ideal mentor and get one-on-one time with them, whether you're in your performance review and trying to really advocate for yourself, you are selling.
Did you ever did you have a fear of public speaking? I know you mentioned when you were young you started. So did you ever come to that point where you're like, I'm not really comfortable speaking in front of groups, or you're always pretty, really, eh?
Give me the mic. I think there's definitely the perfectionist in me. I need to say the right thing. What if I mess up? So I put a lot of pressure on myself to get it right.
Interesting.
To have the right story and be who I think people wanted me to be. And as I age, as I grow older and I get more experience, I also am more relaxed in being who I am. I give myself the permission to make mistakes sometimes, to take risks, try new things, to not have things as prepared, but more speak from my intuition, from the grounded place, and trust that the right story will come up, what I need, what this person really needs. I trust that I will be there to offer that in some way, shape, or form. So there's a lot more trust.
Interesting. And when you started doing that, did you get feedback from people saying, hey, I really like that part of your story, or that authentic piece of what you said?
I found that as I told more courageous or more vulnerable stories and things, I really had to unpack those tough times in life, where you feel, will I get out of this? How's this going to turn out? I think when you look back on those times, you can pull the lessons. But when you're in it, it's messy.
Tough,
It's a messy middle. Oh, it is excruciating. Right? And so on the other end of the messy middle is the gorgeous ending. And from that place, we can storytell. We can pull out the learnings. We can say, oh, here's what I wish I'd known.
Right.
And I find that is how I'm able to, my stories connect. That's what works. So I had to be vulnerable and share some of the darkest times in order to connect with others, because I think that people also can relate to that.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like that's creating that space and that environment for others to do the same, right?
Yes.
Because sometimes if you're in an environment that's so polished, you're kind of like, okay, everybody's quote unquote perfect, or they have their stuff together. And one of the best things I love is that quote of like, nobody really has it figured out, right? So sometimes you're like, oh, everybody has it figured out. What am I doing? But everybody's kind of not winging it, but growing and figuring it out along the way.
If it's so polished, you're like, hey, is this deep fake? Is this AI?
Wow,
we start to question it.
Yeah, that's another one. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the hustle and like behind the scenes, like you mentioned, some of those more kind of vulnerable moments. What were some of the hardest lessons that you had to learn about, letting your work speak for itself versus advocating for yourself? I know when we spoke prior to this, that was a big part of our conversation. But a lot of times we don't do that, right? We think, okay, as long as I show up, somebody's going to recognize, somebody's going to pull me up for a promotion or give me, that recommendation or whatever it is. So, how did that work for you? Like, when did you kind of realize that, no, like I have to speak up and advocate for myself and showcase my value?
I think I learned the hard way, and so I think I spent a lot of time in my corporate career keeping my head down, working really hard, hoping that people would notice. And when they didn't, I just lost all this time, because here's what I've realized. If you are that person keeping your head down, working hard, and assuming that your manager knows all the projects that you're completing on time and on budget, and knows all the amazing work that you're doing, all the mentoring, all the client connections and conversations, you risk being invisible or irrelevant in your cubicle. And so I think I put all my eggs in one basket in this assumption that my direct manager knew everything, all the amazing stuff that I was doing. And in performance reviews, when he didn't, I felt I wasn't prepared to give him those talking points. I wasn't prepared to have those little case studies and those examples. I just thought my work would speak for itself. And it doesn't. And so learning that the hard way, and I think, not getting opportunities as fast as I wanted them or thought I could have earned them.
Right.
I was like, we have to do something different. I have to be my own best advocate. And what if I'm my own best advocate? What does that look like, sound like, feel like? And I realized it's having those case studies, those stories, those examples. You have to do good work. Like there's no getting past that. You have to do epic work, but you also have to tell people about the epic work you're doing. So I think if you don't, then you're invisible or irrelevant. And that is dangerous.
I mean, that's so important, and it's also a vote of confidence for yourself too, to remind yourself like, this is all the stuff I've done. Because sometimes for you, it's after you're going through it, you're kind of like you said with the review, you look back after the year, you're kind of like, oh, I did this and that, but you kind of forget some of the things that you've accomplished. But can you share like a raw moment where you felt overlooked, or and how it turned out in that case?
Yeah, when I felt overlooked. Well, you know what? My very first performance review in corporate world, I just kind of showed up. I remember this in sales. We were meeting at Starbucks, and my manager came. I looked at check the boxes, the kind of the feedback. There's like 3 sentences you can write. Right. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll just wing it. I'll just have this conversation with her. And she went so deep, so fast that I had to excuse myself and go to the bathroom. I was sweating right through my shirt.
Okay.
And I had to take a minute. And I was like, I realized that I was going to bomb this. I realized that I wasn't prepared. I had no stories. I could not answer her questions. Total moment of panic. And I was making this terrible impression really early on in this job that I was so excited to get and I loved. And I went back and I fumbled through, and I vowed never to do that again. Next year, I was ready for the performance review. Right. I came up with the stories, the examples of how I had been a great peer, a team leader. And then I also came with a call to action of like, here's what I want. Here's how I want to grow. I want to go to this conference. And what do you think? Could I take on a leadership role? It was clear. And I gave her evidence so that she couldn't say no, right? And I felt so much better. It felt like I was seen and heard. So I didn't get overlooked that next performance.
Well, I like what you said about the call to action part, right? Because a lot of times that's like the closer, right? So a lot of times it's like when you get to the selling, whether it's a product or your value, it's like you're showcasing it, but then it's like, okay, well, what do you want? Do you want a job? Do you want a promo? And I know when I would interview junior talent, that's the question I would ask them, right? They would say, hey, this is what I could do. This is my skill set and everything. Okay, well, what do you want? How can I help you? Like, what's the next step, right? So being able to ask for stuff as well.
And that's so key, Kareem. Especially in like mentorship conversations, trying to earn somebody else to advocate for us. I think it's two ways too. I think there's this like, you have to know what your request is, like call to action, and you have to ask them, like, how can I be in service?
Yes.
How can I help you?
Yes.
Because relationships are two ways. And I
Right.
see this a lot with mentees or proteges coming in, and they're like, gimme, right? Like, give me your
Right,
time, dear
right.
mentor, dear VP, give me half an hour of your precious time. And I need this. But what are you offering them? How can you help them? How are you being in service? Like, relationships are two ways. The value add needs to go both ways if you want to sustain and if you want that relationship to thrive. I think that's instrumental.
That
And
is.
I can't forget that part.
Okay, that was really deep. Yeah, I love that. And I wanted to ask you, so do you mentor? Do you have a mentor? Let's talk about mentorship because that's like my favorite topic.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love it. I love
Okay,
this
so
topic.
I'm always curious to know like what that looked like for you. Again, in the context of what we're talking about, did you have a mentor through some of these moments? And then now, do you mentor and give back, or do you still have some of your mentors in place?
Absolutely. So it's evolved over life. And I'm going to be very kind of cheesy, but also very candid.
Okay.
My parents, my mom and dad, Brenda and Peter, shout out,
Beautiful.
first mentors,
Nice.
eternal mentors, because they role modeled networking, connection, curiosity. Whether we were in line at the grocery store or on a plane or just neighborhood walk, they were able to just eye contact, smile, connect
Yeah.
with anyone, and then spark this conversation. And so at a very young age, I was exposed to this type of networking that I didn't even have a word for yet, but it was just became so natural. And I saw the way they sparked conversations. And with questions, these conversations grew. And we'd be standing in the grocery line for like half an hour talking to strangers. I remember being annoyed as a kid.
Yeah, let's go.
Right, let's
yeah.
go. We got the milk. Let's go already. But years later, when I'm at a conference and I can walk in not knowing a single person and feel comfortable and excited to go and spark conversations with strangers, I thank my parents for that. And now I have systemized that. I've created blueprints, step-by-step processes, and now we're teaching others on how to do that, right? Technical people, introverts who may feel fear when it comes to that networking, we've systemized it to help them figure it out. It's a system, And so to answer the question of, like, they were my first mentors,
Right.
but I also very recently found myself lacking mentorship. So I was an entrepreneur, pregnant, and I was like, what does maternity leave look like for an entrepreneur? Like, how do I do this?
Interesting. Yeah.
And I have my network is very robust, and I had all these friends who had corporate jobs with very set maternity leave processes. And I didn't know who to talk to. So I started to reach out. I reached out to like a women's network. I reached out to friends. I said, who could you connect me with? And I ended up through friends of friends and warm introductions, having incredible conversations with boss babe entrepreneur women who were either on or a few years after their mat leave, sharing those best practices with me, of saying, well, here's what I did that worked. Here's what didn't work. Here's what I wish I had known. And it was game changing for me. So I think I also recognize that, you don't have to feel lonely. If you feel like, oh my gosh, I don't have a mentor right now, know and believe that you can find that person. You just have to be strategic and think about what am I looking for?
Right.
Who am I looking for? And then ask around, and you will find that person. And I think that was really game changing for me lately.
Yeah. No, that's great. Thank you. What's a mistake you made in personal advocacy or branding that you now share as a cautionary tale for others as well?
A early when I moved back to Toronto. So I was living abroad for quite some time over in
Okay.
Europe. It was awesome.
Okay.
I was in Switzerland, and then I moved back to Canada, to Toronto, and I was starting my business. And I would go to all these networking events, and I remember going to one in particular, and it was a tech event, and the vibe in the room wasn't me. It felt like we're like bro culture, you know, and I felt like a fish out of water. I felt really out of place, and I realized that like I think I automatically kicked it into like, well, let me go and introduce myself, and I just started like shaking hands and giving these cards and trying to introduce myself in a way and a vibe that felt inauthentic, like I was trying too hard to fit in.
Right.
And it was exhausting. It was draining. I don't think I really made an impact on the people that I was meeting. You know, you're having a conversation with someone and their eyes are kind of looking past you. Like, it's terrible, right?
Yeah.
So I was trying too hard because they weren't my people. And I didn't fit in. And it didn't feel good. And I just kept forcing myself to stay longer at this event. And I wish what I learned from that is that I'm not going to do that again. And that, you know, I have to be authentic in the way I'm showing up, in the way I'm saying, here's who I am, here's what I'm about, and the way we connect with people. And that also not everyone's going to like you. You know, I gave myself permission to know that, like, in the branding side of things, not everyone, your value proposition is not going to resonate with everyone, and that's okay. Not everyone are your people. You will find the right clients or an employer and colleagues and friends, but it's not going to be 100% of the people you talk to. And that, I think, is big too. I think so often we feel like rejected or a little sad and disappointed in ourselves when we don't make that instant connection. But I was able to like kind of breathe a little easier, reminding myself that not everyone's going to like me, and that's okay.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think, like, I always think about the quote or the saying, "Go where you're celebrated and not tolerated," right? So it's like that feeling when you go into a environment that's for you versus not. And actually, I remember, I think it was like a year or two ago, but I went to an event and it was very highly corporate. It was like law firm related, and I was invited by a friend of a friend, and I had that same feeling when I got there. I was just like fish out of water. Yes. Why do you think so many people cling to the fact that my work will speak for itself? Like, do you feel that's they just don't know, or this is more like part of their culture or their upbringing? Like, why do you think that is?
I think it's both. You know, I think so many of us just assume that our managers are speaking for us, that our work speaks for itself. It's like this unwritten rule of workplaces. We're never taught it at school, so we just assume it, and then we just go on with our day. And I think a little part of that is also that selling ourselves feels icky.
Yeah, I was going to ask
and
you that.
And for cross-culturally too, like of Asian descent, we say we, not I, right? So there's this cross-cultural aspect as well, where maybe in North America, we're a little bit more adjusted to selling ourselves, to having to need to do that. But in other cultures, especially the Asian culture, it's like, no, I couldn't do that. You know, it's in the context of we. So the way I view personal branding is actually in the context of we. Here's the reframe. If you have a strength or talent that can positively impact the people around you and you're keeping it hidden, you're stealing. You're stealing from the people around you. So it's less about me, here's what I do. It's more about, how does my unique strength or talent, how could it help solve someone's problem? How could it help a mentee when they're at this crossroads in their career, right? It's coming from a place of service. And when we can remember that, when we can really feel that, when we brand ourselves, when we articulate our value, when we share a success story, it's coming from a place of service. We're going to do it more often, and we're going to do it more confidently and with more clarity. So I think it's that shift from me to we that is game-changing, and then we can adopt personal branding or advocating for ourselves a little bit more.
Yeah, I really love that. So how do you maintain that balance, right, between, like you said, the visibility, it's like, yeah, I want people to know and in service, and maybe more expand on what you just said, because sometimes people say, hey, I can't, like I'm showing off,
Right.
right? Like I'm bragging and people are going to feel like it's ego driven. So maybe, I know you said the reframe, but is there some actionable steps in terms of like you could suggest?
Yeah. Sure. I mean, I think the more that you do it, it's like a muscle. Again, you're going to feel more comfortable. But the biggest question I get when we talk about personal branding is, how do I figure out what's unique about me? How do I figure out my personal brand? And I think that's where we need to start. So I have an awesome exercise that I highly recommend people do. I do it every year. Think of 10 people in your life. Okay, so Kareem here. Think of like 5 people in your professional life, your manager, suppliers you have great relationships with, colleagues, former bosses, direct reports. And then think of 5 people in your personal life, your best friend, your partner, your siblings, your kids if you are courageous enough, the people you play hockey with or go to Zumba with, people who know and love you. And then you send them a text or message asking them one question. What 3 words describe me best?
Oh.
And I guarantee, like, the words, the stories, the case studies that come back, they're going to light you up. But what's more important is that these are the people that you want to influence, that you want to have a real impact on. They're going to be articulating the value that you bring to their lives. They're going to be articulating that right back to you. They're going to be telling you the strengths, the talents, the amazing gifts that you bring to them every single day. That's really good. That's market research right there. So you're going to want to keep this list. I think that is the way we can define and own our personal brand, but also own our worth. That's deeper. So I love this. It's a simple exercise. When you can do this, I think it's a very powerful list that you're going to want to keep as the wallpaper of your phone or like on a Post-it.
So repeat that question again, but this is a blind text, right? Just
blind text.
It's not
random.
Hey, I need to ask you something, and all of that. It's
thing.
just
you can preface it with I'm doing some market research.
right.
Give them a deadline. Everybody needs a deadline.
Okay.
So it's like you could say, hey, doing some market research. Curious, what 3 words describe me best? Let me know in the next week. I would so appreciate it. And then I'm also happy to offer you those 3 words, right? Like reciprocate. I really appreciate that you are so curious, that you're so loving, you're so warm. Like, what are the words that this person who's just reached out to you, what words are you offering them?
right.
So again, that reciprocity. Yeah.
Nice. Love that. Thank you. I gotta do that and I'll report back. Yeah, that's a really good one. That's a really good one. So do you think, like, a lot of people, personal branding, it's kind of there whether you do it or not.
Totally.
But yeah, do you believe that everyone has a personal brand, even if they've never actually tried to build it? And can you talk about some of your coaching and teaching that you do around that?
We all have a personal brand. Your reputation exists. Personal branding is turning on your leadership signal. It's like those lighthouses is like boom, boom, boom. It's saying, here's who I am, and let me link it to why it matters. Because people are already talking about you in rooms that you are not in yet. Personal branding is about you owning your story, owning your narrative, and articulating it with confidence and clarity. You're helping others advocate for you, saying, oh, you should talk to Kareem here. Talk to Tanya here. If they know what you bring, if they know how you can help, they're able to champion you and connect you to people. So we want to give them the talking points so that they can help do that. It expands, it amplifies your impact, right? So I think we all have a brand. Doing this exercise of understanding what your brand is key. And then you can share the stories and develop it and use your strengths more in everyday life, right? At work and in life. I'm a big believer in going from good to great. I don't think we should be focusing on our weaknesses and trying really hard to improve those. Forget those. Focus on what you're really good at and take it to the next level. That's how we can add massive value to the people around us.
And okay, I know you didn't want to talk about the weaknesses part, but how do you, I guess, how do you fill that gap? Is that through support systems, teamwork, finding other people? Like, do you have any tips on that side of things?
ChatGPT, baby. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, AI, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's delegate to technology. Let's leverage AI
Right.
for the things that we don't want to do or we're naturally not good at. I think we have to delegate it out, leverage technology as a way to bridge that gap and focus where our unique value is. And I think in
Yeah, I
an
love that.
AI-powered workplace that we're in, the digital workplace we're in, our most human skills are our most valuable business assets. The way we connect with people, the micro actions of connection, that is going to be the secret sauce for how we excel, how we advance, how we are seen, heard, and valued in the future of work. You know? Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about habits. So what are some of the habits? So now you got this feedback, right, from your 10 people, 5 personal, 5 professional. You know, I'm kind of recounting it in my head. And then, so now you have that story behind, you have a little bit of a guide in terms of your personal brand and your story. So what are the habits behind that reinforce the personal brand? What are some of the things I should be doing now after that?
I think that we don't have to make it heavy or very hard. I'm a big believer in integrating it into daily life. So, for example, out of office. When people are out of their office, everyone puts an out of office message on, right? They are super boring. Let's be honest. They're like, I'm People don't even write a full sentence anymore. It's like, I'm I'll be back this day.
Right.
And it's like, why not take your out of office and use it as a personal branding opportunity?
Yes.
Okay. Mine, but right now, if I had an out of office on right now, mine would say, guess what? I'm being interviewed as a title. And if I got that, I'd want to open up the email and hear more. Yeah. And I'd be like, thanks for your email. I'm actually live on Kareem's podcast on Career Currency talking about this, this, and this. Can't wait. I'll let you know when the podcast episode drops. I know you're going to want to hear it. Here are the 3 things I'm going to be talking about. Yeah. I'll be sure to get back to you. It's an opportunity to stay while you're away. So whether you're on vacation, and that is important to articulate too. It's like I'm rest and renewal. My corporate culture values that. Guess what? I'm on vacation. I'm enjoying time with my family. I'm hiking in the woods. Today's World Mental Health Day. Right. How do we refuel and fill up again? Mention that in your out of office. Or if you're at a all hands leadership, if you're taking a leadership course, mention that. Your colleagues, your clients, the people you work with, they would want to know. Hey, I'm up-leveling my leadership skills in these areas. Right. I'm going deeper into connections with my team. That's why I'm away, but I'll certainly get back to you. So it's a personal branding opportunity. It says a lot about who you are and why it matters instead of just, So it's an easy lift, right? Things you're already writing today, you're just making it more interesting. Personal branding.
That's a great tip. That's a great tip. And actually, I know when I got your out of office and you were traveling, the first thing I said when you came back is like, oh, yeah, how was your trip, Right. That's amazing. And can you talk a little bit about storytelling too, right? Connecting that, because you mentioned earlier bringing that vulnerability into your speaking. And I know with me personally, like at first when I'm speaking, I'm like, okay, I need to come with some facts and I need to educate and I need to teach. But after a while, I realized talking about my personal stories is what people really wanted to hear.
Yeah.
So how big is storytelling for personal branding, and like how can, again, taking that feedback, how do you craft that into a story to share your brand in a memorable way?
Okay. I mean, when you get that feedback back from your 10 people, all these words, they're going to not just give you words, by the way, they're going to give you examples or remember the time or when you did this for me. So there's all these little nuggets, these case studies, these examples, these stories. First of all, it's just going to light you up and you're going to want to keep this list, especially on the down days where you're feeling less than stellar. Read this list. And then you're going to want to craft them into stories. And one framework that I love is CAR, challenge, action, result. So taking one of these words where if maybe somebody's like, I love your determination. Let's take that as an example. That's one of your strengths is your determination. Think about a time in your life where you faced a challenge. How did determination help you take action or get you to the outcome you wanted, and then what was the result? Challenge, action, result. So you're going to want to take each of your strengths, think about a time in your life, and frame that into a story. And that's going to be something powerful that you're going to want to share in a performance review, in a mentorship meeting, in an interview, with friends. I mean, even Thanksgiving dinner, sometimes the people closest to us don't really know what we do at work. So it's an opportunity to share it, right? And they don't all have to be work stories.
Right.
Bring more of who you are into that. Here's about a time when I really helped out my mom, or I was there for a friend when they really needed me. That says a lot about who you are, and that matters. Behind the titles and the roles, we are human beings. We all want to know I work with somebody who's going to have my back, or who's genuinely is going to care if I'm having a bad day or something just happened in my life. We all want to know the people that we're working with, that we're sitting across the table from, and who they really are.
Wow. That I never really, I'm not saying I never thought about that, I guess consciously. But yeah, usually the story's all built around like, what did I do in the workplace or what did I do professionally? But I know like for me, in terms of overcoming that imposter syndrome, it's more around like finding things in common with others, right? So I'll be like, okay, I know they're the CEO of this, but they're just a person just like me. They like sports or they like these topics just like I do. And that kind of just like, kind of makes it easier to connect and share.
That's a great tip. Like, to build rapport with someone, you just need one thing in common.
Right.
And you can creep on their LinkedIn profile and try to find that one thing, right? Or ask ChatGPT. Find out.
Or like you said, just stay curious,
friend.
right? Like when you meet them, it's just like, rather than diving into the professional side, it's like, hey, pick their brain a little bit and see like, what are they interested in and find that commonality. And that's kind of like the sense I got from when you were talking about your, the public speaking and just talking to random people. You really get to like just know who they are or, find things in common. Okay, so let's talk about the workplace, right? Advocating for yourself. Yes. How can someone prepare for some of these high stake conversations, right? So now I've been working here. I feel like I'm getting that raise. I wanted that raise or promotion. How should someone approach that?
Be prepared. So you want to build these case studies and come in. I think you want to remember that you want to connect early. So this happens so much. So let's talk about connection in the workplace, right? I think that we have never been more digitally connected and so lonely.
Yes.
Whether you're working remotely or you are new to the organization, you're just meeting people more on Zoom than around, cafeterias, or maybe you have the work return to work mandate. But you're kind of walking in saying, it's not great. I'm not happy about this. You're bringing a different vibe into the office, right? There's this opportunity for these micro moments of connection. Can I share a little story with you?
Yes, please.
Okay. It's a story about penguins.
Okay.
Prepare yourself.
Okay.
Go with me here. So in Antarctica, there's male gentoo penguins. And what they do is they offer this little pebble here. They offer this little pebble.
Okay.
They offer a pebble to their future mate as a way to build a connection, to build a bond, to strengthen a relationship, and eventually build a home. It is a really small, it's just a pebble. It's a small symbolic gesture, but it has intention behind it. And I truly believe that at work, we do the same thing. We offer pebbles, these little micro gestures. It's the kudos at a team meeting. It's the, how are you really? Stopping and asking and waiting for somebody's response. It's sharing a meme. It's aligning on an expectation. It's giving someone one-on-one real-time feedback. These are all little micro moments, bids of connection that strengthen relationships, deepen connection, and build long-term relationships. And that's the kind of workplaces and teams that we want to work in. So I think there's this opportunity for us to remember when we're relationship building, to build, make a bid for connection. And it's these simple little things that actually go a long way.
Right.
Yeah. So this is the pebble. I don't want to say thank you to you. It's like inviting me on. Like, this is a pebble.
I appreciate it.
Right? Your curiosity, your questions, like those are pebbles. They're pebbles. Small things that have big impact.
Nice. Okay, so back to the penguins. So when they give the pep, do they do this with multiple penguins, or is it more?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. They do it. They focus in on one.
Okay,
They really
okay.
want to build this relationship with one, and they go and find this small, smooth pebble, the smoothest pebble, and they continue to give. So then, that in this one case, they want to build the strategic connection to build a long-term home. And I think in work, sometimes we want to do that. You know, I have to talk about the difference between mentors and sponsors and coaches.
Okay, right.
Three wonderful, all different roles. And they're people that you may want on your personal board of directors. You can have all these different seats around your personal board of director table, but you absolutely need a sponsor. I think that sometimes we put mentors are overrated, in my opinion.
Okay,
Mentors are
okay.
amazing. They're people who are a few steps ahead. They can offer you advice based on their own personal experience. And we hope that that's a reciprocal relationship. You meet them very often. Sponsors are different. Sponsors are people who have social capital. They have a reputation, they've got connections, and they are willing to put their own name and reputation on the line in service of you. They are somebody who's got your back. They're going to give you candid, direct feedback when you need it most. They're going to nudge you in the ribs before you feel totally ready. They're going to not only open the door and invite you in, they're going to pull up a chair and say, sit in the seat, go for it, before you feel totally ready. It's a deeper relationship, and it is absolutely a two-way relationship. The protege has to drive that relationship. You have to figure out how to offer value, and it is game-changing in one's career. So I think there's an opportunity to build different types of relationships, but I would not overlook the power of sponsors.
Do you think that there's a misconception between those three you mentioned, sponsors, mentors, and coaches in this?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I don't even know which one is which
Yes,
in a way.
absolutely. I think
Okay.
that we get them wrong all the time.
Right.
And then we are expecting something. We're expecting someone to fulfill a role. We've not even given them the job description.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest reasons relationships fail is because of unmet expectations. And I think we do this all the time with mentors. We're like, oh, great, we had a great coffee. Let's have another mentorship conversation. And this person's like, is this a one-off? Is this a thing you want to keep going? Like, why don't we just talk about it up front? And that second coffee, I'd love to meet you quarterly. I like half an hour of your time. Maybe we can have a WhatsApp channel. What do you need from me? What are your big career goals? Like, it's a two-way conversation, right? What if we just talked about that up front? Same thing with sponsorship. Coaching is different.
Right.
Coaches, I feel like, there's somebody, typically it's a one-way relationship where the coach is either they're being paid or they're in a manager role and they're giving you feedback and empowering, trusting that you have the answers, and they're asking questions for you to get the answers yourself. You know, it's more inquiries. It's a different skill set. It's a different role altogether. So I think in the workplace, we need to be clear about who we need at this moment in time,
Right.
and then seek out the right person, and then really with clarity align, like, can you be this person for me? Are you willing to put in the time and the energy and the consistency and really hear what they have to say? Because I know a lot of people, myself included, where we're in these mentorships, whether it's a formal program or not.
Right now,
yeah, and you're just like, can I get out of this? Like, you kind of want to break up with your mentor, but you have no idea how. Give yourself permission to break up with mentors and sponsors if the relationship is not serving you. But when you can talk up front and align on expectations, you have something to go back to and say, this
Right.
isn't serving me. Is this working? Then let's not waste each other's time, right? Time is too valuable these days. So I think there's structures.
Do you think you can be can you be more than one of those things for a person?
Ooh, that's a good question. Perhaps a mentor can grow to be a sponsor. I think a mentor can absolutely take on coaching responsibilities.
Right.
I think the mistake that we often make is we assume that mentors will become sponsors. Those two roles are very different.
Yeah.
Not everyone will grow to be a sponsor. Sponsors, you really have to almost create a vision board, to think about dream up who you want, and then seek out that person. And know that it's going to take time for you to build credibility to be able to ask them, like, hey, can we make this a long-term relationship?
Right.
It doesn't happen one day to the next. That's why you want to invest time to build these relationships. It's not something that happens in 2 weeks. It could take 2 years.
That's so interesting. Yeah, because I feel like with the mentorship piece, for kind of long story short, people say they want mentorship, but they really want sponsorship.
Yes. Agreed. 100%. Yeah. They're like,
You
why
know?
didn't you put my name in the hat for that?
Exactly.
You're like, well, I didn't know you wanted that. I didn't know that I could have done that for you, but what are the case studies? Where's your metrics?
Exactly.
Again, goes back to that personal branding. Give me what I need to
Right.
sell you in this meeting that I'm at and you're not in yet, in this room, right?
And is it fair to say that at some time, like you would need time to understand, like before you become a sponsor of a person, you need to validate
Absolutely
their work and
Yeah.
the stories and everything like you mentioned too. So
Agreed.
it's not like you just come to me and I'm like, hey, you're like
Yes.
best for this fit, right? Like you
yes.
need to.
You have to earn that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
credibility.
Credibility,
If I'm
yeah.
gonna go and my reputation's on the line, if I'm referring you, if I'm
Right,
like pitching putting your name up for this, it's my social capital. It's my network. My relationships are on the line. You gotta knock it out of the park here. So absolutely, they need to experience you. So I think very often sponsors are in the same business unit or in the same company,
Right.
less often within general industry. But I think, you want them. You also can do the work to sell yourself, to show those examples, to build that credibility.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to talk more about that one because
Okay.
I have more questions. But some people will say, I'm too shy. I'm an introvert. I'm too quiet. Right. So how do they cut through the competitive competition in the room and get themselves known?
Yeah. Oh, it can feel so scary, right?
Yeah.
Networking, walking into a room where you don't know anyone, if you're an introvert or just a technical person or just shy or that new person, or maybe you're a new immigrant, you've got an accent. There's self-doubt can feel paralyzing. So first of all, you're not alone. Like there's people in that room who feel the exact same way you do.
Right,
Just
right.
remember that. And also, I believe that introverts have this superpower. They are naturally curious, great at asking questions, and they're wonderful at the one-on-one. So do it your way. Give yourself permission to network or build connections your way. That can mean that you go with a buddy to an event. You go and just have the one-on-one conversations. You're not walking up and breaking into a group of 8 people. That could feel terrifying. Give yourself permission to do it your way. Give yourself permission to say, I'm going to go to this event for an hour. Here's my objectives. I'm going to try to get as much I can out of it, and then I'm going to go home and refuel. I'm not going to stay there for 4 hours, right? It's about the quality of the connections and the conversations versus the quantity. You don't have to go to 8 networking events. You got to go to one that makes sense for you. The other thing I'd love to remind introverts or technically minded people, or just people who feel too busy in their life phase, those busy working parents or caregivers, or people who are in places more remote where they feel, I can't go to those events. Leverage online. LinkedIn is an incredible networking tool. Reach out, connect. What events can you go to? How can you use AI to find the right events that suit your objectives, right? What groups can I belong to? How can I comment on people's posts to show that I'm curious, that I believe in what they're saying, that I'm championing them? Those are small ways to build connections, to give pebbles, to grow relationships. Networking can absolutely happen online and on LinkedIn. It's about being strategic and giving, always in that spirit of giving.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, let's get into a couple of hot takes.
Okay.
A little bit away from the professional side, but okay. So let's talk about food,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
What's your favorite food? Favorite dish? What's your go-to?
Ooh, spicy salmon roll. Or yesterday we had Thai food. Oh, I love Thai food. Good Penang curry.
Nice.
Ooh, and it has to be mild. I can't handle it too hot, but
Okay.
yeah, those are my go-tos right now.
All right. And then the second one is I've been really waiting this whole interview to ask you this because I think it said like 87 countries in the beginning. Favorite place to travel?
Spain has a very special place in my heart. I lived in Barcelona for over 2 years, did my MBA there.
Nice.
I have
Wow.
very good friends across Spain. We just went on a family vacation recently there, took our kids. It's magical. There's so many. The food is amazing.
Beautiful,
People,
yeah.
The culture. Trying to practice my broken Spanish a little bit more. So it's got a special place in my heart.
That's my favorite place too.
Really? Where do you like to go?
Barcelona, Madrid. And I had a friend, he played professional soccer in the north, La Coruña.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
so
I've been there. Yeah, so I've been there for a little bit.
That's cool.
But yeah, lots of friends there. I always said, if anything, I'm moving to Barcelona. That's my
Right?
spot. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Barcelona.
and
It's
it's like,
the city that's always on.
and interestingly enough, when I was started my entrepreneurial journey, when I was there, I actually did a lot of meetups and stuff like that when I was there. So I met some people like business wise that I'm still in touch with to this day.
Oh, that's
So,
amazing.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
I love that about like the expat community and traveling. I've lived a lot of different places, everywhere from Beijing, China, to Perth, Australia, to Osaka, Japan, to Budapest, Hungary, to Barcelona and Zurich, Geneva, and I was able to go and create a community wherever it was, right? I feel like there's these opportunities to connect with locals and expat in this unique way, and it's awesome. Like it's amazing what you can learn from people.
Being to all those places, do you feel like you're so cultured in all these different, because different cultures teach you different things, right? So like learning, and does this help you in your work and understanding like different environments and different people and different mindsets? Like we talked about earlier, the fact of speaking up in some cultures is kind of frowned upon, and these different things. So how did that
Is it great? You know what?
integrate into your work and stuff?
Yeah, a huge way.
Yeah.
I think traveling just has been this education that I'm so grateful for in my life, and I really want to offer it to my kids. And I feel like it's given me an open-mindedness to recognize that my point of view, my vantage point is mine, and that someone else may have a different viewpoint based on their stories, and how they were raised, or where they've come from. So I think I come at things from a place of curiosity. I think it teaches you empathy, and to be open to hearing other people's perspectives. And I love, I'd say it's also helped me take risks, right? You have to be bold to go and to even visit, but also live in a country where you don't speak the language.
Right.
You have to realize that like you're taking risk, but you're going to figure it out. You build this trust or like this belief that I don't know yet, but I'll figure it out. And I think that's a really good belief to hold in life. It'll help you many times in life, you know?
Yeah.
So I really, and I think I really I love the diversity. Like I love like different accents, hearing different stories. I've really come to believe that we can harness diversity as a strength, not something we hide, but something we embrace and advocate and showcase. Different perspectives, different vantage points, challenging status quo. Those are good things.
Right.
Let's bring all of who we are into work, right? And I think translating that to the workplace, I've worked on 5 different continents and like countless different audiences and participants and partners. And I really believe that we all want the same thing. No matter where you are in the world, we want the same thing at work. We want to be seen, heard, and valued.
Yeah.
Right?
Favorite app?
Oh, ChatGPT now. It's like go-to.
Okay, so this is my next question. Is it more typing, or are you talking to ChatGPT, or are you just typing to chat?
I'm typing, but I really think I have to get into the talking
Yeah.
now.
The talking is a thing.
I forget that it's
The
there. I
talking
need
is
to
a
start
thing.
talking to it for sure.
Recommended book?
Ooh, Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. I really enjoyed that recently. I think I'm somebody like I'm thinking and I'm holding on, and the exhale of letting things go, letting people, let them do that. Let me keep my peace.
Right.
Let me stay grounded. Let me stay in my lane.
Have you?
Lots more I need to practice that. But
Have you read 5 Second Rule?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Do you recommend it? Was it a good one?
I do. Yeah, that's hers as well. I think it's one of her earlier books.
Yeah.
But that's a concept of procrastination. And to fight it, it's like the 5 second rule. So you count backwards from 5, 4, 3, 2, and before you get to 1, you just do it.
Okay.
And it counting backwards kind of like awakes your cerebral cortex or whatever the science behind it is. So it like, if you say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it doesn't really work. But if you say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, it kind of like jumps you into action.
It activates
Yeah. So that was a big one for me.
Really? I love that.
That's a really good one, yeah. Okay, last question.
Okay.
Word of advice. Or words of
Own
advice.
your awesomeness and remember to link who you are to why it matters.
Awesome. Okay, Tanya, thank you so much for the rock pebble and for coming through, sharing your knowledge on leadership, connection, personal branding, and mentorship, sponsorship, which I really appreciate. Thank you so much for coming by. Any final words for the guests that you want to talk about, where they can find you, what you have coming up, and you can just tell them in the camera.
Awesome. You can follow us at Desa Global Leadership and at Instagram at Lead with Tanya. Feel free to reach out to me and connect on LinkedIn. That networking, especially if you're introverted or technical person, I always love to connect with people on LinkedIn. And our website, if we could ever serve, support, or help teams own their awesomeness, is desagloballeadership.com. Thank you so much for having me on. This was so much fun.
It was.
Thank you.
Yeah, great conversation. So there you have it. Tania Desa, Desa Global Leadership. Make sure you check her out. Lots of great information. Another episode of the Career Currency Podcast. I'm your host, Kareem Perez, signing off, and we'll see you next time.
You're tuned in to Career Currency with Kareem Perez, a podcast for people who are interested in unlocking their potential and increasing their professional value. Here's your host, Kareem Perez.